This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mousefan Travel, the official travel agency of WDW Today. If you're planning your next trip to Walt Disney World, why have to do all that work yourself? You've been to Walt Disney World a lot of times. You've done the drill, called the numbers, made the reservations, all that stuff. Why be bothered with it? Why not just make one call to MEI and Mousefan Travel and be done with it? Let them do the footwork for you. Give them a try. Visit them at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, September 17th, 2008, and this is episode 463 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of StudioCentral.com. On the show today, we have Mike Scopa, a blogger at allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
Matt, and we are ready to carry out our great national experiment toward... Wait a minute, let me start over again. And we are ready to carry our great national experiment forward into the next millennium.
American Adventure?
No.
Hall of Presidents?
Yeah, it was one or the other.
It's always someone needs to name him Sam Eagle, because everything he quotes is from some sort of nationalistic attraction.
It's all about all the attractions, but especially American Adventure.
Also on today's show, we have Mike Newell, Mouse World Radio. Mike, you're always keeping me reminded of the important things that I should be doing that I'm not.
I am?
Bathing.
Bathing.
That's what that string around his finger is for.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Also, does anyone do that anymore? That's like from like the 60s or something, like 40s.
60s?
Hey, watch it.
Also joining us today is Len Testa, co-author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Len, can you believe that Steelers game this past Sunday?
Oh, they played fabulously, didn't they?
Awesome.
Can't believe they won that one in that fashion.
Oh, just wow! I never thought he would drive that motorcycle onto the field, but wow!
and not wearing a stitch. Amazing.
You guys are funny.
It's Wednesday, and that means we're answering listener questions, and we'll start out with Mindy from Phillipsburg, New Jersey, who writes, "Hi guys, love the podcast, and I've never written in before, but I think I have a quick question. Well, more of an opinion, maybe, I think. Anyway, my boyfriend and I will be making a trip to Walt Disney World October 26th through November 4th, and was wondering which day would be the best to attend the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. We've never been, so we'd like to try it at least once. The nights available to us are October 28th, October 30th, and October 31st. I would imagine that the 31st probably won't be the best, seeing it's probably be packed that night.
It's sold
then again,
out.
Who knows?
It's already sold out, yeah.
It's already sold out, so
Yeah. 28th.
so the 28th is probably the best one.
Yeah, the 28th. Yeah. Because the closest you get to Halloween, the more crowded. Is that what you're saying, Lon?
Yeah, it's a Tuesday. It's a school night. Tuesday's traditionally not a very busy day for the Magic Kingdom in general. It's of the three choices, that's your best bet.
Cool. Mindy adds, also, I wanted to thank you guys for plugging Mousefan Travel. I am booking through them, and Colleen has just been amazing. The price she got me versus the price I looked up was a $700 difference. Craziness. Thanks again for the podcast.
Wow. Cool.
Thanks very much. I'm sure our sponsors would appreciate that. Next email is from Mark Whiteside of Glasgow, Scotland, United Kingdom. All right, hey guys, Mark from Glasgow, Scotland here. Haven't had the internet for the last 6 weeks, so slowly catching up with your podcasts, but not hearing you guys talk about the subject, was wondering your thoughts. I personally was gutted to hear that Fantasmic at the studios is going to be reduced to 2 nights a week. I know that they mostly do 2, sometimes maybe even 3 shows a night. How can they cut such a superb show to 4 shows a week? I think it seems a cheap way to get more people to go to the American Idol, which opens at the same time. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on it, especially Matt's giving his love for the studios. We got a lot of emails about this, actually. Wanted to mention that we got some from Randy Knickerbocker, as well as Gary Burt and John from Virginia. So we thank everyone. A lot of these, again, basically asking the same kinds of things about Fantasmic and our thoughts about it. I wrote an article about it, which I'll post in today's show notes, but really, I really think it's a terrible move. I think it is a step back for the studios and sends the wrong message to the guests. It's saying that, the studios aren't as important, you don't need to be spending as much time there, and it really backtracks them on a lot of the progress they made over the past couple of years in terms of making it in everyone's mind a full day park in terms of something that you need to go. But when you take away the nighttime entertainment, as we've seen with Animal Kingdom, it makes it very difficult to keep guests to stay there beyond the afternoon parade, that 3 o'clock time frame. And I think overall, long term, it's going to hurt the studios more so than any economic downturn really can. Len, what are your thoughts on the cutback?
It'll be interesting to see if it does anything at all to park attendants or to the best days to visit each park. I know that they're trying to save some money by not having to do the fireworks every night. My guess is that's what's driving it, because 15 or 20 grand in fireworks, or even 10 grand in fireworks over the course of an entire year is quite a bit of money.
Yeah, well, I think it's not so much that there are even fireworks there. It's there's a lot of people involved.
Right, a lot of people. Right, a lot of people, a lot of special effects stuff like that. Right, so
yeah, I mean, I've always had people ask me about it, and I say, there's a reason why they're not shutting down Hall of Presidents for for financial reasons, because there's no people there. It's all robots. But
right.
They're cutting all the cuts. They all relate to a lot of people involved, and it's unfortunate, really. And I really don't think that. Again, it really bothers me. In fact, and I encourage everyone who is upset by it to email Disney and complain about it, because that's really the only way that these kinds of things will get said. Because I think a lot of decisions are made behind closed doors with people who aren't there every day, who kind of oversee things, and I don't think they have the right. I think they missed it on this one, really.
Maybe so.
Next email is from someone who didn't leave their name, who writes, "Hi, I love the podcast. Need your help. My daughter is applying for the Walt Disney World College program, and if accepted, she'll go in mid-January 2009. As I'll be driving from New York State, is there a good offsite hotel for me to spend a couple days at so I can, quote, recharge before I drive all the way back? I'm looking for somewhere that's near where the interns are staying. Also, a couple days in the park will be needed. What are the crowds like that time?"
If it's inexpensive, I mean, the Orlando Vista.
Yeah, I was going to say, where the college program kiddie stays by Little Lake Bryan, which is off of 535, and that's right there. The closest hotel that I can think of is the Holiday Inn Sunspree Hotel. It's not the best rates over there, to be honest with you. I don't think it's worth it, but I do think the money is worth it over at the Orlando Vista, like you said, Len.
Yep, I think so. I think that's a good choice for an offsite hotel. Plus, it's convenient to offsite dining, and you'll save some money there. The on-site dining at the Vista isn't fabulous, but there's enough stuff within a couple block radius that you can definitely find.
Oh yeah,
all kinds of it. The only other thing I would say about the Vista is it's a little bit tricky to get into because you have to make a U-turn to get in there.
Yeah, the first time I was looking for it, I couldn't find it, but after a little while, I figured it out.
Other than that, it's not bad.
Good. Next email is from Kaylee, who writes, "Hi guys, my boyfriend and I are going to Hollywood Studios very soon, and we're planning on having dinner at the Brown Derby. Anyways, we found out that they have the Fantasmic dinner package, and I was wondering if during that time we could find better seats for Fantasmic than when we would get with the package. The price of the meal isn't an issue. We want the best seats possible, and it's his first time at Disney, so I want it to be perfect." Well, you definitely don't want to take the seats then that the package gives you, because they're terrible. And you can get your own. Just show up anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes beforehand. It depends on the time of year that you're going. During slower times of the year, 30 to 45 minutes is fine. Busier times of the year, closer to 60 is probably your best bet. And, of course, you want to get seats that are about little off-center, little to the left, little to the right of center, and, about a quarter to halfway up the seating, and I think you'll be fine. Next email is from Todd Wetmore, who writes, "On show 418, you fielded a question about two people getting two different answers from cast members about booking ADRs 180 days out. One cast member said 180 days out. The other said 179 days out. After a grueling hour and 45 minutes on the phone this morning, which started right after at 7 a.m., I was able to book all of my dining reservations for my honeymoon. I was exactly 180 days out and had no problem while talking to two different cast members, booked Victoria and Albert's, then was transferred to another cast member to book the rest. I think you guys would approve my selections: Crystal Palace, Chef de France with Candlelight Processional, Chef Mickey's, Boma, Artist Point, Victoria and Albert's, 50s Primetime Cafe, California Grill, just in time to see Wishes, Beer Garden, my future wife is German, and just for you guys, Narcoossee's. Narcoossee's is our final evening meal on our honeymoon, which I figure is appropriate. I guess after 9 days and things start to get boring between the two of us, I can just swap her for another wife. I hear that's one of the house's specialties." Next email is from Chris from Tampa, Florida. He writes, "Gents, I sent this question to Len, also since he will probably get answered sooner, but can I go to California Grill strictly to go to the bar, then go outside and watch Wishes, or would I have to make an ADR in order to get there during that period?"
No, you can go to the bar.
Cool.
You can go to the bar and do it. By the way, the thing on Narcoossee's, I think you want to look for the at Beer Garden. I think you want to look for the dish titled Neufrau, which is new wife in German, or new girl. Neufrau.
The good news is, like, the 20 listeners we have in Germany, we're totally cracking up at that.
Totally.
Jawohl.
And Chris adds, Matt and Len, nice meeting you guys during Toy Story Midway Mania preview weekend.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah, that was great.
Cool. Next email is from Sarah, who writes, I really enjoy the show. Have a couple of questions for late June 2009 vacation I'm taking. Would you recommend doing Chef Mickey's for dinner, followed by Magic Kingdom for evening extra magic hours?
We've done that, but at the Contemporary, we did it the Wave. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I like it because it gives you a rest out of the park and like a little mental break.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Getting out, again, like you said, just that break from out of the park routine can, it is relaxing.
Yeah, I think so too.
What is a good strategy to take or time is the best to arrive at the parks for evening extra magic hours, for example, the Magic Kingdom?
I'd say 9 o'clock. You want a reason?
I mean, I would say, you want to get there at. You don't need to get there right when evening extra magic hour starts, because the first hour that evening extra magic hour is there, you're really just filtering through all the people who are in the parks right at closing.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I think it's a good point.
Yeah.
Sarah also wants to know, would you recommend doing morning extra magic hours in the parks and then leaving around noon, or avoiding extra magic hour perks altogether on their morning extra magic hour days?
If you can get up and be at the park when it opens, I like using morning extra magic hours at 3 of the 4 parks. I like it. I think you get a huge opportunity to save some time over at the Magic Kingdom. I think at Epcot, if you're going to go on Soarin', Test Track, and Mission Space, it's definitely helpful. At the studios, just to get Toy Story Mania, Rock and Roller Coaster, and Tower of Terror out of the way, it's fabulous. I don't think at Animal Kingdom it's that great, but at those 3 other parks, yeah. If you can get up in the morning early enough to do it, go do it, yeah.
Well, and I was wondering, this question, I was thinking about it. I wonder how the crowds fare on the first hour of a regular park opening for Toy Story Midway Mania, how long the wait is in that first hour, versus how long the wait is at Toy Story Midway Mania during extra magic hour morning. In that first hour, because if it's significantly less, I mean, if you can get a solid hour of really no line for Toy Story in an extra magic hour morning, then it's like it's money in the bank. You definitely should.
Good question.
Then Josh and Sarah after it.
I know that you definitely save some time by doing it during morning extra magic hours. I just don't know how much. My guess is, just off the top of my head, looking at some basic statistics, I'd say the peak waits are probably 20 minutes lower during morning extra magic hours, the first hour of morning extra magic hours, versus when the park opens. But it depends on the time of the year and stuff like that.
Cool. Next email's from Doug Rubin, who writes, so after almost every attraction Walt Disney World 2 to 10 times each, 10 visits during the last 8 years, we're usually looking for something new and unique stuff and not another ride on Soarin' or the mountains. Mm-hmm. Which shows deal with that wacky and offbeat attractions that an experienced visitor might have overlooked? For example, the What's Your Problem Velcro show was quite the goof last February.
Yeah, I like all the stuff that Innoventions. That's really the stuff that I've been focusing on a lot lately. Mm-hmm. There's a thing there it's like a fire safety attraction, which is a hoot because you're with a team of other people and you're competing like in groups of like 8, let's say, and you use these flashlight-like devices to spot fires in different rooms in the house. And if you play it right, there's just a bunch of smack talking going on back and forth while you do it. So like I was telling the people on my team, look, the one thing you got to know about this attraction, I hate to lose. So don't lose. The other thing I think is fun in Innovention is there's a pizza game, which we've talked about on the show before, where you've got it's sort of like a game of concentration where you've got to match up which states, 2 states that produce similar types of ingredients, like find 2 states that both produce wheat or tomatoes or sausage or something like that for pizza toppings. The other thing that's a lot of fun is there are games that make kids jump up and down and do crazy activities in Innoventions. Those things I think are good for 5 or 10 minutes a pop each, and some of them give you free stuff, like the Velcro thing is pretty cool, and you do get free stuff out of it. I think those are a lot of fun.
Absolutely, there's a lot of great stuff you can do. Innoventions is obviously there's a plethora, but they have that new Stormstruck attraction that just opened over there.
Right.
Looking out to the other parks, I mean, one of the things I love about the studios is they have the Streetmosphere characters, and it's always a different show every time because they're interacting with different guests, different jokes. Definitely check that out. I've talked about it before. I think Fort Wilderness has a lot of great activities that you can partake in,
Right.
and they're usually pretty cheap over there with what you can do. And definitely check that out. Maybe explore one of these more deluxe resorts and check out what they have, because you don't have to be staying there in order to enjoy it. So that's always a good option for you right there. Next email is from Mark Johnson of O'Fallon, Illinois, who writes, Dear Matt, Mike, and Len, during the last episode, a listener asked about Allegiant Air. I wanted to let you know our experiences with Allegiant. First, their equipment is new, so the planes are clean and appear well maintained. Second, they fly direct. Third, they generally leave late in the afternoon so the kids can go after school on the day of departure. The price at times are the lowest you'll find, especially if you book late when they have empty planes. I've seen fares from St. Louis area to Orlando for $29 2 to 3 weeks before the flight. So it may be great for the spur-of-the-moment trip. Current fare from St. Louis to Orlando says $89 and $129 coming back for each leg, but they will add taxes of $17 and a convenience fee of $11.50 for booking online. In the end, $246, not much different than Southwest, that offers multiple daily service flights from St. Louis at $256. So definitely, if one of the smaller airlines serve you, definitely check that out. One of the things that was actually interesting, I don't know if you guys noticed, was that AirTran is now going to start serving Allentown and Harrisburg.
No, good.
So they don't have to only flying into Baltimore, but that's
That's Southwest
AirTran.
AirTran.
That's good for Magic
AirTran.
Meets for next year for you, Matt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, nice.
Next email is from Jason, who writes, hey, read all that are applicable. Matt, Mike Squared, Len, Fabulous, Annette, and or other guests of the day.
You're fabulous too.
So hopefully my simple question is, has there been any rumors or mumblings of extending the Year of a Million Dreams into 2009?
No, in fact, there's a new marketing campaign that should be announced this week for Disney. It's something about like magical celebrations where it should be announced this week. You'll be encouraged to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, and other stuff in Walt Disney World. Along with that, there's so that's their big announcement coming up this week. There's going to be new desserts, new food, new banners, new obviously a whole new marketing campaign around it. So new signature desserts, like that for Year of a Million Dreams. They do different desserts at the Citron restaurants. Same thing. There's also going to be a new parade, sort of like Block Party Bash, over at the Magic Kingdom, which is interesting. It's supposed to be run several times per day. Sort of, so a little bit more than Block Party Bash. That part's interesting. The other thing is that the Dream Along with Mickey Castle forecourt show is going to be replaced with something new again as well. That should be announced again sometime this week.
And we also had on our last live show, we had a member of the Dream Squad actually call into our show and mention that in fact the Dream Squad will be disbanded at the end of the year, which is unfortunate. And we were talking about that, so definitely check out last live show for that.
It's a shame because I think the Dream Squad idea was just fabulous and it's something that Disney could have extended on.
Oh, absolutely! I think it really served a great purpose and really helped make people's trips. They just serve such a great purpose, even if they aren't just giving out prizes and what I mean.
Yep.
And the cast members liked it too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely! They loved it.
Exactly.
Next email is from Dave, who writes, I've been listening for a couple weeks now and really enjoy your podcast. So much so that I'm pretty much caught up to all your old episodes, at least the ones that are on iTunes. But enough chit-chat. My questions are, I know this is a show about the world, but have you ever been to any of the theme parks outside the United States? If so, do you have any suggestions? My wife and I have been to Disneyland and Walt Disney World many times, and we're looking for that first time at Disney experience again. I was thinking of Disneyland Paris, maybe Tokyo Disney, but can't seem to find any good information or resources.
There's a Brit's guide to Disneyland Paris that's supposed to be pretty good. We're talking. Bob and I are talking to Wiley about doing a book on the non-US Disney parks as well. That's just in the discussion stage, but I think we'd probably do Disneyland Paris first. I'm headed to Hong Kong Disneyland next year.
Oh, cool!
Wow.
Yeah, it should be fun.
The park that I really want to get out to is Disneyland Paris because it's relatively close. I mean, it's not like Tokyo or Hong Kong where you're talking half a day on the airplane. And a great resource you want to check out is DLRPmagic.com. Dave also wants to know, any chance of more historic shows like Epcot 1995, MGM Studios 1995? My first trip to the world was for my honeymoon in 2000. It isn't that my parents didn't love me, it's just I didn't move to the U.S. until 1999. So until a time machine is invented, your historic shows are all that I have.
You know what's funny? I was thinking about this on my drive back from the beach this weekend, and I was doing the Horizons.
Horizons.
So I had the ride through, and then I had a whole bunch of the audio background. The horizons, the dreams to come true.
And you can't break into song while you're talking.
And it was really sad that Hannah never got to see Horizons. I mean, of all of the historic stuff in Walt Disney World that she never got a chance to see, Horizons has to rank up there in the top couple of attractions where.
It is just a crying shame. It's like there's 8-year-olds in New York that are running around that haven't seen the Yankees win a World Series. I mean, really, that's just abuse.
Not really. Not along the same time.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not all upset about that either. Yeah.
It was sad because I thought Horizons was the sort of the epic grand scope things that I can't take our mission space and it wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't be.
Well, Newell, there's a show topic for you to cover in my absence. You can do one about do another historic show.
There we go.
That's a great topic, yeah.
Next email is from Christina, Connecticut. Who writes, hi, Matt, Mike, Len, and maybe Annette. Or maybe not. First, let me say how impressed I am with the intestinal fortitude you've shown on your Sip and Snack Around the World challenge. Hysterical. You've got to repeat it sometime when Matt can join in on the fun. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Food and Wine, baby, in a couple weeks. Food and Wine, we're going to do it. We're going to do the first weekend of October. We're going to do Food and Wine, so look for a show on that.
There you go. On another recent episode, maybe it was a live show, you mentioned the cardinal rule, thou shalt not eat in Fantasyland. That got me thinking, what are your other park rules commandments? Keep up the great work. I'm thinking about a trip for MouseFest, so maybe I will meet you soon.
That rule actually came from a listener who had put into words what we were all thinking, but never had actually codified before. Never eaten Fantasyland. Yeah, I don't know. What are some other?
We'll have to do a commandment show sometime.
Yeah, it'll be a repeat for you, Scopa, but for the rest of us, it'll be pretty new.
Exactly. That's a good idea.
15 commandments.
I bring you these 15 commandments. That's funny. What are the? For me, it's never eaten in a McDonald's, any sort of McDonald's stand in Disney World. I mean, even if I'm desperate, I would never do it.
And I would add to that, thou shalt never eat at any restaurant owned or operated by the Rainforest Cafe.
I had this exact discussion with Hannah over the weekend too about why I don't like them, and I said the menu's too big for them to do anything well.
Yep. Which
is the exact opposite of like Flame Tree. We had an interesting discussion on it all. I think Hannah's becoming quite the traveler. That she wants to go to. We're doing a trip to China and to Hong Kong next year, and she's helping plan that. And I think she's doing very, very well. So,
are you taking Newell with you?
Please,
do you want to go?
Please,
Newell,
please. Live show from Hong Kong. Come on.
I think we should turn it into a WDW Today Fest.
Oh my god!
Can you imagine?
Oh jeez. Next email is from Scott Petey, who writes.
Wait, hold on. We have to put that down as a show idea. The 10 Commandments.
Well, Newell added that to the list.
We'll do that while you're away.
Yeah, there you go. Next email is, as I said, Scott from Edinburgh, Scotland. Says, I listened to your show.
Edinburgh?
Edinburgh.
Go ahead.
Whatever.
Whatever.
It's not like my name is Andy and I live in UK or something.
Go ahead.
I listen to your show
Don't kill to the message, will you?
I listen to your show every week and always find it really entertaining. I'm coming to Orlando on September soon for 2 weeks, but this time around, this time around, I've decided not to stay on Disney Resort. So I decided to see the rest of Florida because the last 2 times I've not been outside of Walt Disney World. But on this trip, I was thinking of seeing if I could catch Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. What date does this usually start on? What would be the best time to go? And is it the best to book beforehand? I have no kids, but wanted to see the party because I feel like a 12-year-old stuck in a 28-year-old body. Well, I think he knows what the dates are at this point. But Scoba, can you comment on his other questions, which are what's the best time to go and is it best to book beforehand?
It depends. Again, Matt, I mean, the best time to go is, I think, I think they usually have them on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. It depends. I would check the schedule on All-Ears.net. Tuesdays and Thursdays would be the days that I would strongly suggest, because I believe those are also days that you might be able to find a discount here and there. The crowds will be low. You definitely don't want to go on a Friday or a Saturday. As far as booking ahead, you don't have to if you're really going to go in late September through maybe mid-October. After mid-October, I think that you're best to try to get a ticket ASAP.
Would you say, Scopa, too, that the September dates are generally going to be less crowded than the October dates for?
Definitely.
Yeah. So they start
but
the week
except
after.
for the weekends, though. Len, the weekend's going to be tough.
But even then, people going in September, even on a weekend for Not So Scary, that's going to be people who just want to go to the park to get a few extra hours in, and for which they don't care about the money. I don't know that there are that many people that interested in celebrating Halloween that soon in September, especially when
yeah. Okay. But once October hits, all bets are off, I think.
Yeah, and the closer you get to Halloween, the more crowded they're going to be.
We know that the 31st is sold out. So what happens is that begins to fall back. So then the next available night closest to Halloween will be sold out. Yeah.
Agreed.
Next email is from Bob in Ottawa, Canada, who writes, "Go Habs, go!" I don't think anyone
go Habs. Awesome. Yeah.
Writes, as always, great podcast. We are 2 adults and 2 children going in December 2008, anytime between the 1st and the 15th for a week staying at Scopa Towers. You guys have never yet steered me wrong, so here are a couple of questions. Len, is there a best day of the week to check in at Walt Disney World? Would it make a difference in crowds if we went the 1st or 2nd week of December? Would Mousefest be a good time?
The Mousefest would generally be a good time. The thing you want to watch out for is Pop Warner. So the day before Pop Warner starts in the morning, the check-outs and check-ins are going to be pretty busy. The thing with check-ins is they usually start to peak around 11 a.m. between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. You don't have very many check-ins at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. because that would mean that people had to be on like a 5 a.m. flight and fly directly into Orlando. Like most things, it's going to be your mid-afternoon, sort of through dinner time stuff is when it's going to peak. I think around noon is when check-ins probably would peak. But even then, most Disney hotels, the values and the moderates, do a pretty good job of moving those lines along. I've rarely waited more than 20 or 25 minutes to check in, and even then, for most of those times, I would just leave and come back.
Yeah. Bob adds, Newell, is DVC worth it, do you think?
Depends on depends on what you want to get out of it. Depends on family size. I mean,
let me ask you. Let me put words into Bob's mouth there, Newell. Has it been worth it for you?
For me, yeah. I have a large family, so a lot of people have gone on my points that never would have gone. I go several times a year, which helps. Coming from the UK, you might try to stretch 2 weeks out of the year, which might be worth it.
And with the exchange rate, with the dollar, it's I think more favorable.
Okay. We got time for one last question. Newell, it's time for you to pick. You've got an option of a question entitled Questions on My October Visit, T-Rex, or Epcot Closing Time Question.
I think the October question is more timely, so let's get to that.
All right. Next email's from Kelly Brown of Savannah, Georgia, who writes, Mongella Fellows and lovely Annette. First off, thank you so much for your tip that one of you gave in the $46 Beads podcast. When we first go to the party, the line for Captain Jack was already 45 minutes long. So I remember the tip from the show to watch the parade close and to start and take off once it was done for Captain Jack. We grabbed dinner at Pico's Bills and got a spot in front of the Country Bear Jamboree. And once the parade was over, we took the shortcut by Magic Carpets of Aladdin with less than 10 minutes. You saved us at least 30 minutes that we were able to do other things than standing on line. My husband and I are going back in October for 3 days without the family to experience the Food and Wine Festival. I was wondering if Len has ever done a touring plan for the Food and Wine, and if not, could he do one? I've used Len's touring plans as my baseline for my theme park plans for 4 years, and he hasn't failed me yet.
I think that's a great idea. Let's well, the only issue with any sort of touring plan for Food and Wine is that it's either going to be clockwise or counterclockwise because of the way the way that World Showcase is configured. So either one there. But let's talk about it when we're there in October.
Okay. Kelly also adds one more thing. If we only have 2.5 days of park time, should we only hit Epcot? Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is going on 2 of the nights we're there, and I've always wanted to try that. But will we be taking away time from food and wine if we do this party?
You'd only be taken away by 2 hours because it starts at 7 and Epcot closes at 9. So 2 hours.
Yeah, so you could spend a fair amount of time at Epcot and then switch on over to the party if that's what you want.
Yeah, what I would say to do is start grazing around food and wine like around 4 o'clock, which I think is what we're going to do when we get there, 4 or 5 o'clock or so, and then just head over to Not So Scary. You'll be stuffed. The other good thing is too, you'll have a sample of many little things rather than one big meal. So your chances of you finding something you really, really love will be that much higher.
Great. Kelly adds, thanks again for the fabulous tip on Captain Jack. I love listening to you guys. I listen to Snack, Sip, and Sick whenever I'm having a bad day to listen to Len's entrance into bulimia. Awesome.
People will mark that show as the beginning of the end for me.
Well, that's it for us today. Don't forget that this episode of Walt Disney World Today has been sponsored by MEI and Mousefan Travel, the official travel agency of WDW Today. And if you're looking to plan your next trip to Walt Disney World, want a little help, want to make it a little easier on yourself, don't want to jump through all the hurdles yourself through Disney, MEI and Mousefan Travel can help you both experience the visitor as well as someone who's new to Walt Disney World. To give them a try, visit them at www.mousefantravel.com. Want to mention also that there's a survey that Len would like everyone to fill out at wdwtoday.com, so go check that out for sure.
Cool, thanks.
If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, so visit the WDW Today website at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and the fabulous Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hodgeberg. We'll see you on the next show.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.